Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of the betting show here on Sherdog.com. My name is Sheehan of this very show, the Sheehan Show, and I'm here to give you my top 5 bets for the week in mixed martial arts. You can probably hear my voice a little bit worse for wear. I was at Bellator Dublin last week. I'm telling you, that's the amount of vaping and whatever else that was going on in that crowd. It has absolutely killed me, so my voice is a little bit gone. A little bit fluey, a little bit sick. So, flu game here. Michael Jordan got through it. I'm going to be able to get through it. So, we'll give you the top 5 bets here for the week. Another good week last week. We got the main event. I picked Vince Henderson and that one. We got a sell as usual. And there was another bet in there as well. So, I think we got the 3 out of the 4 bets. And then, obviously, Manhoef. That was always very unlikely. But, you know, we win for it anyway. Big hit, big miss. But that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes in mixed martial arts. And you know what? In betting, indeed. Let's get straight into the bets. So here today, and before I do that, please bet responsibly. Don't go mad. Don't go overboard or anything like that. And as well, before I actually get into it, I said get straight into the bets. Big shout out to everyone who came up and talked to me about the Sheehan Show and talked about the bets and everything at Bellator the other day. An absolutely fantastic reception. Everyone I spoke to was very complimentary and everything like that. And it's the good thing about the betting show is people only remember the good bets. So that's a good thing, I suppose. But I appreciate everyone, and I appreciate there was a lot of good coverage winter, and I feel like the Irish cohort of media did a good job. So a pat in the back there for myself and all the lads as well. So a great week covering it. We don't get much. I suppose we get enough now compared to other countries. Maybe we're probably spoiled, but it's great to get high level mixed martial arts in my part of the world and be able to cover it so acutely and closely, I suppose. So, right, let's get straight into the bets for next week. I have bets from One Championship, Bellator, and the UFC this week. So, whatever tickles your fancy, we got it for you. And the first one I'm going to go for is one of the guys from One Championship, and that is my guy Oumar Kane, who is fighting Batradz-Gazzaev, and he is plus 275. Now, this is not, is this my flyer of the week? Not quite. But do you know what? If anyone who watched my preview show knows, there isn't a ton out there on Gazzaev. From what we have seen in him, he's a good all-round fighter, a good wrestler, who'll take you down, wins most of his fights, I would say that way. But the thing about, Rug is, it's very hard to know what actually happened in the end of that last fight. He kind of went down. It looked like, what happened? He kind of gave up, and it was a bit weird. It was very, very weird. And to kind of write him off after that, after everyone built him up as like this absolute, athletic phenom that we saw before that, I think maybe it's a little bit premature. He still looks really good. I know he's out in the camp now in Dubai where John Mitchell is at the moment, and Munir Lazez and others as well. I believe maybe it's different, but he's out with John Mitchell, who trains in Ireland anyway. And the fighters coming out of that camp have, the results have been pretty good for him over the last while. But and I know he's been training in different places. So how could he not have been making improvements? And we know what he is. We know the wrestling background he has from the Senegalese, sand wrestling that he came out of. That we saw, I think Aries was where he was first, if I'm not mistaken, did a great job of showing his background and in One Championship as well. And we've seen his fights. I've been a big fan of his since day one. My guy Alan Murphy, did a great job promoting him as well when he was with Aries. And I have a bit of a soft spot for him. Maybe I'm going with heart over head, but I just think this price is madness for a big heavyweight fight like this, with a guy that all he needs to do is lay one hand on you and you could be gone. I think it's a very, very big price there. Plus, from what I've seen of Gazzaev, he's more wrestling than anything else. And it's going to be very, like we know Oumar Kane's background is wrestling, so it's going to be very hard to just wrestle him and lay on top of him for a long time. His last fight, Rug, there was a lot of just pushing against the cage, and it didn't work out well for him. I think if he gives up on that, works his good points better. I think he can win this fight. And a plus 275, I like if it was straight up, I'd probably pick him to win, honestly. So a plus 275, I have to be. No, I might be way off. This is probably one of these ones where I am way, way, way off, but I don't care. I'm going for it anyway. Rug plus 275, my first bet of the week. Second bet of the week. Do you know what? I'm going for Angela Lee here. And I was a bit surprised actually when I saw her price last night. So let me just pull this up just to make sure I have it correct. So Angela Lee opened for this fight against Xiong plus 160. Plus 160, that was crazy. Now she was plus 105. I saw her last night. Minus 105 last night. She's out to minus 110 now. I see she's actually minus 125 as well in one place. I have her at minus 110, but that price is probably is going to go further and further out. I think that was a crazy line, to be honest. I went back and I watched both of their fights. This is a trilogy fight. Sorry, and I know it's different weight classes and things like that, but I watched both of those fights and I don't know how you could have that line where, you know, it opens up minus 200 for Jingnan. I don't know how you could do that because Angela Lee was winning both of those fights. She tired late. I think it was just after some time out of the cage. She was winning the second fight well and then got the late finish as well. She got finished late, both 5-round finishes. One for Jingnan, one for Angela Lee. And out of those, 9 rounds, let's say, I think Angela Lee probably won 8 of them if you were to take minutes in totality. Now, maybe that's a bit much, maybe 7, maybe 7.5 or something like that. But Angela Lee there was no doubt in my mind that she was the better fighter. When I looked at this yesterday and she was the underdog, I couldn't believe it. Now she is the slight favourite, or it's just about even on a couple of books here. I think that's a great price. I think Angela Lee is going to win this fight. It's hard to look back at both of those fights and not give Angela Lee the head here. It really, really is. I just like if you look at what Lee did in those 2 fights, she was able, when the fight got to the ground, she won it there. When the fight was on the feet, she won it there. The only time Jingnan was able to get on top in terms of how the fight was going was at the end of that first fight when Lee got a little bit tired. She started putting on the pace. She was more confident in her hands. And I will say as well, in the start of I'll give you a better breakdown. It's actually it's about 3 or 4, maybe 5 days since I did all my watching on this and I did the preview. So the preview show will actually be a better analysis of this than the one I have now. So please go over and check that out. But the first round of the second fight, Jingnan came out as well and looked confident. But Angela Lee was able to get through that too. So it's very hard to know, like, you look at Jingnan and say, what does she need to do to win the fight? She did that in the start of the second fight and she still didn't win it. In fact, she won the first fight, sorry. But in the second fight, she didn't win it and she lost more comfortably. She was losing the fight and then she got stopped. So to have this anyway, not necessarily even a close fight, because it should be a close fight, but to not have Angela Lee as, I would say, even a minus 200 favourite here, I just think that line is completely off. And I think even if she goes out as far as minus 130, minus 140, I think it's a good bet in Angela Lee. I even think at minus 200, I think it's a good bet for Angela Lee. Yeah, I think Lee will, I think she'll win the fight. And I do think it'll be a good fight, though. I'll probably, both of them are relatively even matched in terms of if it's another 5-round fight, Angela Lee would probably be just about ahead in all of those rounds. And it's as well, it's not scored round by round as well in one championship. So we know there could be one big shot or one big turnaround from Jingnan and it could all change. So keep an eye on that. And I'm going for Angela Lee anyway on that one. Next one I'm going for the underdog here in Bellator. And I'm going for Adam Borics, who is minus 140 to beat Patricio Freire. And there's only one reason I'm going for this, to be honest. And the reason I'm going for this is I just think that he'll be able to outmove Pitbull. I really do. It's one of those fights where you look at it and you think, right, Borics is one of those guys who maybe doesn't have the biggest name in the world, right? He maybe doesn't have like the sexy wins that a Pitbull has, or all the records. I think someone put up that Mike Bone put up, he's more title fights than any other fighter in the history of MMA in a major organization, and that's brilliant. But I just think if you look at the last few fights, of Adam Borics. And look what he did to Mads Burnell. Now, Mads Burnell, you could say, okay, that win has kind of not soured a bit after what happened to him last week, but still, Pedro Carvalho did very well, so that's unfair to say as well. But he beat Eric Sanchez, beat Jeremy Kennedy. You know, he's obviously knocked out Aaron Pico back in the day. But the 5-round demolition he put up on Mads Burnell, and demolition's the wrong word, but against a guy like Mads Burnell who keeps coming and coming and coming, and who has the ability to finish like Patricio has in a different sort of way now. Obviously, he's more of a grappler, but he can strike as well. I think what Borics showed in that fight was his ability to put on a 5-round game plan that can win you a high-level fight. And that's exactly what I think people need to do to beat Patricio Freire. Because I think what he is best at is kind of just waiting, landing. Because now his last fight against AJ McKee, he won it landing those big shots, winning rounds. The thing about Borics, though, he lands big shots to win rounds as well, and I think he can probably land more of them. So I think if it goes to decision and it's the power of the shots, I think it's going to be Borics because he's going to land more power shots, whereas usually Pitbull will have the advantage in that area. We saw in AJ McKee in the last one, as I was just mentioning there, he did land the more power shots, but AJ McKee, it felt like he was trying to outpoint him, not realising that the guy who lands the more power shots in mixed martial arts in today's scoring system is going to win the fight. Whereas Borics is the exact opposite of that in terms of he will land the power shots as well. I think as well, if you look at the losses over the last while, a lot of them have been, you know, he got finished by AJ McKee. Benson Henderson, you know, it was the leg injury, went to decision with Daniel Strauss, but that's gone back 7 years ago as well. A lot of his fights, you know, he knocked out Pedro Carvalho, knocked out Manuel Sanchez. Okay, went to decision with Archuleta, but finished Chandler, and then we're going back 3 or 4 years ago. I just feel like he is, no, I'll say this, and when I say that it goes decision and it favours Borics, I think Pitbull has become a better decision fighter, if you want to put it that way. I remember going into the Pedro Carvalho fight, and it's probably a bad example considering he won early, but I remember thinking, like, he's a finisher because he's always going to kind of draw you out and land that big shot, and he's almost relying on it. But he also showed, you know, in the Archuleta fight, obviously before that, but in the AJ McKee fight as well, that he can draw you out multiple times and win that game multiple times per fight. And the fact as well is that he draws you out and hits rather than going after you, rather than putting a large quantity of cardio out there. It spares that cardio so that he can go for 5 full rounds. And that is great. And I'll say it again though, the problem with Borics is he does the exact same thing. They're similar fighters, but in a weird way, very different. 5'6" for Pitbull at 35 years of age, 5'11", 29 years of age for Borics. Could that be the difference? Could the not necessarily even the youth, but the size? If Borics can throw a few hard leg kicks from the outside, a few hard head kicks, a few hard body kicks, which Pitbull can't, could that be the difference in this fight? I think it could. I really do. When I picture this fight in my head, I see it being kind of the outside fight from Borics, with him landing hard enough shots to make Pitbull chase him a little bit, which is the last thing that Pitbull wants to do. As I said earlier, he wants to make you chase him, and when you do, he hits you. So if Borics can do the exact opposite, I think he's a great chance here. I really do. I really think he has a great chance here. I think it'll be a long fight. I think it'll be 5 rounds. But I do think there is a chance someone hits something. You know, we've seen Borics hit flying knees. We've seen Pitbull knock guys out all over the place, obviously. But I would predict a longer fight here. But I think that price is very, very good. Plus 140 for Borics. I think that's a great price. And I'm going with that as my Bellator bet for this week. I hope the voice is still going, lads. Is it still working? I hope the voice is still working. It's going. Right, last 2 bets here. The UFC, I'm going for Ilir Latif. He is, let me just check in, minus 183 to beat my guy Alexey Oleynik. It's a tough fight for Oleynik, really, isn't it? You know, it's one of those fights where you look at it for Oleynik and you just think, like, how is it, and he's very close. He's plus 140, plus 150 in some places. How does Oleynik actually win this fight, really? Like, okay, that's a stupid question. He wins it by submission if he wins it. But, like, we know the wrestling acumen of Ilir Latifi. We know the strength of Ilir Latifi. We know the size of Ilir Latifi. Like, is Oleynik going to be able to catch onto him and fall to the ground like he does with most people? I just can't see. It's very hard to see that, isn't it? Maybe it's just me. Let me know in the comment section below. Maybe it's just me. But I think it's very, very hard to see that happening in this fight. I really do. I think this is the sort of fight where Oleynik tries that for the first 2 or 3 minutes, and then Latifi just hits him with a few big right hands over the top. Oleynik falls and he ends up finishing him with a few ground and pound shots while not himself grounded, but while Oleynik is grounded. And really, I don't have much more of a breakdown than that of this fight, honestly. I think it's a pretty simple enough fight to look at. Latifi actually I see it here. He's actually gone in a bit here. He's minus 175. Let's see where this fight actually opened. It opened to minus 200. So he's actually gone in the betting. So into minus 175. Let me just update that here. My notes, minus 175 for Ilir Latifi. I think that's a fantastic price. I really like Oleynik is past his best at this stage as well. You could say the same maybe for Latifi, but he's still closer to it, I think, than Oleynik. And look, to me, it's a pretty straightforward fight. Maybe people disagree with me. Maybe I'm wrong. And maybe he will be able to get the submission. But I just think Ilir Latifi is too much of a fire hydrant to get taken down in the way a lot of these heavyweights do. I think he can land that shot well on the way in, and I think he'll connect with Oleynik, and I think he'll put him out. So I'll leave that as my explanation on that one. Right, the flyer of the week. I'm going for the UFC main event here, and the one I'm going for is a bet I like to do the odd time. It's one person who is like, and Mackenzie Dern here is the bet I'm going for, but Mackenzie Dern to win by submission is minus 120, right? And Mackenzie Dern to win by TKO KO is plus 1200. So I'm going for the TKO KO plus 1200. Now it's a flyer, don't get me wrong, but if they think the submission, look at the submission is the thing. If she wins it, she'll probably win by submission. But what if she gets the back? What if she gets the mount? And Xiaonan is going to be wary, as you can be, of the submission when you're fighting against someone like Mackenzie Dern. And she opens up with a few shots and ends up getting the finish. There's your plus 1200 TKO KO bet. I caught Jacare with that a few times. At his height, he got a few TKO KOs in there at plus 600 and 700. I always like those sort of bets. Now, Mackenzie Dern is a big favourite here at minus 232. And I actually think that's a crazy price. I think that's way too big. I think this is a more even of a fight here. And the only reason I'm going for the plus 1200 is because I think it's a big price. And this is a flyer of the week. So, this is not my analysis logical head on me. This is me looking for a massive price that might come off, This is throwing a dart blindfolded, trying to hit a bullseye here. And this is very much one of them. I think Xiaonan will do all she can on the feet. A big reason as well why I looked at this and I went for it is I think because Xiaonan is better on the feet as an all-round fighter, I think Mackenzie Dern will have to take this fight to the ground. And I suppose we say that in every fight, and I don't have that much confidence in her, to be honest. But if Mackenzie Dern got a little bit better, with her takedowns and her trips and stuff, she would be a devastating fighter. I actually like Mackenzie Dern as well. Sometimes she looks fantastic on the feet. Not fantastic, maybe a bit much, but very good on the feet. And the next fight she comes out and she doesn't. And the fight after that, she looks good again. So it's tough to know sometimes what Mackenzie Dern is going to come. I wonder, is that maybe a high-level coach or something to be able to tell you, is that her changing things up, trying to fight different ways, trying to fight in the inside, trying to fight in the outside? I suppose I would need to watch her more carefully in that. This isn't that sort of podcast, so we leave that aside for a second. But, the inside the distance here is minus 140 for Mackenzie Dern. Her to win the decision is plus 350. So, the betting odds here are massively favouring Mackenzie Dern to win inside the distance. And if you judge, there's only two ways to win inside the distance, and if you change it from one to the other, you go from minus 120 to plus 1200, and that's what I'm doing. I'm going mad. I'm going for the plus 1200 here for Mackenzie Dern. Right, let's run through some of the other bets here before I choke to death and die. I'll start at, this might be out by the time Invicta comes out, I'm not 100% sure yet, but Xiaonan fighting Invicta this weekend, minus 270, she's Irish, very, very good fighter, fighting out of Paddy Hoolan's gym, won the Severe Amateur Fighter of the Year last year, after having a baby in like June or July or something like that. I think she went 5-1 as an amateur in the rest of the year. Very, very good, and looking forward to seeing her there. I think that's a good bet if you're betting on that one. As I said, Rugrug plus 275. There's a few other ones in that I like. The very close fight there between Teo and Ritu, minus 171 plus 141. Look out for my breakdown of that. Wakamatsu over Xiong. He's minus 500 as Wakamatsu. I think that's just about right as well. There's a Brave card on as well this weekend. I know Roland Dye is on that card. You might know that name. He's plus 215 there, so if you fancy that for a bit. There's an LFA card as well this weekend, but we have one on Prime as well. Angela Lee, as I said again, minus 110, minus 125-ish there. That's the bet of the week for me. That's an absolutely great bet. I like Stamp Fairtex as well. She's, fantastic fighter. After watching her before, the Angela Lee fight, I have a real soft spot for her. I think, and it's warranted because she's very good. I think she'll end up fighting Angela Lee again. Could it be after this one if she wins? Maybe. She's minus 400 there. I think that's a good one to throw into an ACA. I like Freemanov as well, plus 150 if the underdog there against Martin and going to minus 175. I'd go for him there, I think. And there's a few other fights on that card as well. Timothy Natsukin is the favourite, minus 155 against Halil Amir. And then on the UFC, as I mentioned, Mackenzie Dern, minus 232. Yan Xiaonan, plus 197. Francisco Trinaldo is plus 270, minus 320 for Randy Brown. Sadiq Yusuf is a big favourite there over Don Shanice, never heard of him. Minus 1100 there for Sadiq Yusuf. Hani Barcelos against Trevin Giles, that's a good fight. Plus 185 for Jones. Trevin Jones, sorry, not Trevin Giles. Minus 120. Minus 220 for Barcelos. I like Borishev, actually. Do you know what? I actually wrote down my bets earlier in the week, and I had Borishev in as one, and I took him out. I think he's been underestimated because of that Marchi Casey fight. Fighting Mike Davis here is a good fighter, but I'd go with Borishev in that one. Don't rule him out yet. He's still a good fighter. You can get him at my plus 150, plus 154 here. I think one play. I'd go on Borishev in that one. Castaneda is a favourite over Santos, as I mentioned, Oleynik and Latifi. Jessica Pine is an underdog of plus 180 against Tabata Ricci, minus 205. Then we have Jesse Ronson, is plus 120 over the minus 140 favourite Raheem Silva. Brendan Allen's fighting Christoph Jotko, minus 125. I like Jotko at that price. Brendan Allen, plus 105. Maxine Grisham, Philip Linz, minus 180 for Grisham, Linz, plus 155. Chelsea Chandler and Julius Staliarenko are just about even at minus 110 each. And Randy Costa, minus 290. Guido Kennedy, plus 245. And then Bellator, finally, Adam Borics, who I gave plus 140 here. Patricio Freire, minus 175, minus 140 in other places as well. He is a slight favourite here. AJ McKee up to lightweight against Spark Carlisle. I like that. Spike Carlisle. Minus 425 for Lee. That's just about, or for McGee. That's just about right. RMP got in. He's fighting Jeremy Kennedy. That's a big fight for that division as well. He's minus 600. You never know when RMP called, although he's looked phenomenal recently. Plus 425. I'd love to see him fight Pedro Carvalho if he wins that. Carvalho beat Mads Burnell last week. Makes perfect sense. One is 3 and one's 4 in the rankings. That's a fight I think that should be in Dublin in February. I think that's a great fight. Barzola and Archuleta, love that fight. That's even betting minus 110. And then after that, we have Lance Gibson Jr.'s back on the card, big favourite. Like the fight between JJ Wilson and Vladimir Tokov. Tokov is the favourite, minus 115, minus 105 for Wilson. I would probably just about go for Tokov there, but you never know. It's a good card. Islam Mamedov is on this card as well, minus 210, sorry, over Nick Brown, the former, is it LFA champion there? And Masharovkov returns as well. He's minus 125 or the plus 105 Mike Hamill. I like Rashkov a lot in that fight, and at that price as well, so I would definitely take him in that one. All right, everyone, I managed to get through it. Thank you very much to everyone for listening. My bets again, to recap: Rug plus 275, minus 110 for Angela Lee. Adam Borics plus 140, Ilir Latifi minus 175, and Mackenzie Dern in the flyer of the week, TKO KO at plus 1200. My name is Sheehan for Sherdog.com, and I'll see you all next time.